Welcome. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. You can see the books sitting over there on the table. If you're interested, today's video, we won't be doing any book reviews or writing advice. We will be doing another ranking of a classic rock group. This time it is Styx, one of the very first bands I got into when I was a kid. If you want to see the history of rock bands that I was interested in as a kid, I'll include a link up above that you can click on for that. But let's get into it. Styx. Who are Styx? What kind of music do they do? And why should you love their music as much as I do? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. You know, the first time I ever heard of Styx was when I was in probably late elementary school, early junior high school, when our school choir had to sing a song from Styx called "These Are the Best of Times." And so our school choir, and I was part of that choir, we sang it. And that's how I was introduced to Styx. You know, you wouldn't think that being part of a school choir singing a rock song would really endear you to that rock song, because I hated everything about school choir except for maybe the fact that it introduced me to Styx. I got their albums after that because I dug the song, and it was the only song that I really liked that we ever sang. You know, we did a lot of Silent Night, we did a lot of Jingle Bells, we did a lot of show tunes from Oklahoma, you know, chicks and ducks and geese better scurry when I take you out in my surrey. I can still remember that crap, and it's been a long time ago. I'm an old dude. I can still remember that bullshit. But we did sing Styx, and that's what got me interested. And I started collecting their albums at a young age, and so let's rank them from my least favorite to favorite. And trust me, I like all of them, so it's not like I'm really going to be bagging on any of them to any great extent. But let's just talk about some of... And by the way, I am going to just be reviewing the albums that Dennis DeYoung sang on, because to me, Styx is Dennis DeYoung. No offense to the other guy that's a singer now. He does a great job in concert, and I see them all the time when they roll through Salt Lake City. All the replacement players are great, but to me, buying the albums, I only own the ones that Dennis DeYoung sang on. And this is the one that I listened to probably the least. It's the last album Dennis DeYoung sang on. It either came out in the early 2000s or the late 1990s, called A Brave New World. There's really nothing memorable on this. I mean, it's solid rock music, solid Styx riffs and choruses, but, you know, just not that memorable. Let's get rid of it quick. Let's go with Edge of the Century. I think this is a pretty damn good album. Edge of the Century. It had some great songs on it, like Edge of the Century. Show Me the Way. I mean, that was a catchy tune, Show Me the Way. I listened to that one a lot. This came out in probably the early 90s. I really enjoyed this one. It's a good one. It's a good one. I listened to that one quite a bit. Let's talk about Cornerstone. Now, you might think that this is rated a little too low. You know, I've got 14 albums here we're going to go over, and this is number 12, I think we're at. Cornerstone. It's got the perennial hit Babe, their first and only #1 single, Babe. Probably the song that polarized the band most, because it's kind of a sappy ballad. And, you know, James Young and Tommy Shaw and the rest of the guys, they kind of wanted to be a rock band. You know, they had been a rock band up until this, a hard rock band. And then they came out with Babe, and it became a #1 hit. You know, they don't play it in concert anymore now that Dennis DeYoung is not part of the band. It was a Dennis DeYoung penned song, and he kind of forced it onto the band. I think it might be the beginning of the crack in the Styx circle. Unfortunately, it's a great song. I don't know why the guys hate it so much. It's a great song. But there's other things on here too, like Lights, the Tommy Shaw Boat on a River. That's a great kind of acoustic tune, like a folksy tune. Boat on the River. Love that. YouTube Boat on a River by Styx. It's a great tune. That'll be stuck in your head for a while. Let's go with Mr. Roboto. Now, this was for sure the album that broke up Styx, because Dennis DeYoung penned this sort of rock opera about a robot in the future, and then they did this big Broadway production of the instead of a rock concert, the tour that year they did was a big sort of Broadway production of this Mr. Roboto play. And, you know, the other band members didn't like it that much. And it was kind of like the last straw with Dennis DeYoung. And they kind of booted him out the band and he's kind of come back in and out of the band a few times since then. But Mr. Roboto, I think it's a great album. I don't mind concept albums like this. I mean, Green Day does concept albums. Queen did concept albums. You know, Kiss did a concept album. I love the concept albums. And this is a great album. You know, Mr. Roboto, Don't Let It End, Heavy Metal Poisoning, Haven't We Been Here Before? That's a great ballad. I loved Haven't We Been Here Before. And Don't Let It End. I love these, you know, Haven't We Been Here Before is another Tommy Shaw written song, and that's a great one. And Don't Let It End, that's a great ballad. But Mr. Roboto, we all know Mr. Roboto. It doesn't fall too far up my list. It's kind of, what is this, number 10 or 11? I don't know. Let's go with, okay, for this one, we're going to go back to their first 4 albums. I've got this CD. It's a compilation of all 4 of their first 4 albums. There's Styx 2, Serpent is Rising, and Man of Miracles. So they all kind of fall in the same place for me. So let's go over them kind of individually. I don't know where I would actually rank these. I think that the Man of Miracles would probably fall in next. It doesn't have a lot of songs that I really, you know, Mr. Christopher, Man of Miracles, Southern Woman, those are kind of the ones that I remember the most. I think that was their number 4 album. Their first album is probably the one I would rank next. One of my favorite songs that they do is Best Things. You can be the best things that I ever had. I think that's the tune. It's great. It's got just a great jam. You could do the best thing that I ever had. YouTube that and you can get the real tune. I'm not going to karaoke it. Styx 2. Let's go with Styx 2. Let's rank that one next, Styx 2. It's got Lady. That was their first hit, Lady. That's a great song, Lady. Father. I love that song. You gonna make me feel it. Okay, so of the first 4 albums, this is my favorite one, Serpent is Rising. I think that's a horrible cover, but man, it's got some badass jams on it. Witch Wolf, in the grove of Eglantine, just south of Mans. Young man. Oh my gosh, those 3 songs, the 3 opening songs I just sang for you really poorly, but man, those are badass jams. Jonas Salter, the Hallelujah chorus. They do the Hallelujah chorus at the end of this, which is awesome. I love that. So those are their first 4 albums, and they come in a pack of their first 4 albums, and I've got that pack. Let's get rid of it. Oh, here's another one that's kind of a digipack. And I rank these together anyway, but it's Crystal Ball and Equinox. They come in a separate package now that you can get. Both albums on one disc. Equinox, let's just rank that one ahead of Crystal Ball or behind or whatever. Let's rank them both the same. But Light Up, Lorelei. Everybody loves Lorelei. Lorelei, let's live together. Lonely Child, Midnight Ride, Born for Adventure. And then Crystal Ball, that's a great album. Just the song Crystal Ball, that's a Tommy Shaw song right there, man. That's the Tommy Shaw song. That rocks in the concerts that they do. Claire de Lune, Ballerina. I don't know why I love those together. They kind of flow together. Claire de Lune and Ballerina. Kind of sappy like Babe, but I like it. Now we're down to my top 3 favorite Styx albums of all time. Pieces of 8 has some great songs on it. Absolutely great songs. Let's see, what have we got here? Sing for the day, sing for the moment, sing for the time of your life. Lords of the Ring, all hail to the Lords of the Ring, for the magic and mystery they bring. Blue Collar Man, let me tell you, Blue Collar Man is a cool song. And if you want to hear the coolest version, you got to YouTube Tommy Shaw's version where he sings with the Cleveland Youth Choir. He does a great version with the Cleveland Youth Choir and Symphony of Blue Collar Man. It's not rockin', but it's haunting. It is great. YouTube that, and there's also an album that Tommy Shaw put out with that. So get the Tommy Shaw Symphony album. It is great because that Blue Collar Man. Queen of Spades. That's a great song. Renegade, another Tommy Shaw song, you know. Oh, mama, I'm in fear for my life from the long arm of the law. You know, if my karaoke makes you laugh, I don't care. I'm having fun doing these videos. I don't give a shit. I'm just being me. Pieces of Eight, the actual title track. Man, this is a classic album, Pieces of Eight. You can't do better than that, except for the next two I'm going to show you, which are my top two favorites. And I think if you're a Styx fan, you can already guess which ones they are. The Grand Illusion. That is one of my favorite album covers of all time. The Grand Illusion album cover. That is fantastic. Another one of my favorite Styx songs of all time. Another Tommy Shaw song. Fooling Yourself. Fooling Yourself is just great. Superstars. Anyway, Come Sail Away. Well, everybody's heard Come Sail Away. I mean, they did that on South Park. Come Sail Away. Miss America. James Young sings Miss America. Now that's, here's the thing, is this band has three top-notch rock singers. Dennis DeYoung, Tommy Shaw, and James Young. JY, he does the Miss America, man. When that song starts playing in concert, people get up off their feet, man, and they're clapping. That's a badass jam. Man in the Wilderness and Castle Walls, if they ever do those in concert, you are in for a treat. Because the Man in the Wilderness and Castle Walls just flow right into each other. It's about 20 minutes of music that they just jam to in the middle of their concerts, and it is fantastic. I love this album. And this is probably tied for number one with the other album I'm going to show you, which is Paradise Theater. Now, this is number one because it's got some cool songs, but also because it's the first Styx album I bought, and it's the first one I listened to for about 2 years before I bought any others. And it's also got The Best of Times, which is the song that I sang as a kid in the choir. But it also has some other fantastic songs like Rockin' the Paradise. If you've got a stereo and you can put Rockin' the Paradise on and you can listen to that going back from speaker to speaker, that was cool when I was a kid. I love that. Too Much Time on My Hands. Great song. Nothing Ever Goes as Planned. Another catchy tune. The Best of Times. I've talked about that. Lonely People. Snowblind. Snowblind, Snowblind, Snowblind. I think that's about cocaine. I don't know. Half Penny, Two Penny. Now that song jams. 80, 1958. And, Rockin' the Paradise. Another concept album like Mr. Roboto. But this one is much more successful because it has some more rockin' songs on it, and it lets like JY and Tommy Shaw and the Panazzo brothers really rock, whereas Mr. Roboto was kind of a goofy little Broadway show tune thingy. Still both good albums. This one's a little better as a concept album. And those are my Styx albums ranked. So if you want to listen to some real quirky classic rock, every song that they do sounds different from the next one. I mean, these guys are consistent in their uniqueness of switching up every song on their every album, and not one song sounds the same or as the other. I mean, they're kind of like Queen that way. I mean, I think REO Speedwagon, one of the other bands that I ranked, their sound is kind of similar throughout. They sort of have this roxy, folksy, just sort of acoustic, heavy guitar jam going through every song. But like Queen and Styx, I think they mix up a lot of different things in their music, and very versatile in the change-ups and the rhythm changes that they do. Styx, one of my favorite bands of all time. Go get all the Styx albums like I do and rock out.